studied by preserved through study and practice by the great monasteries, are the base on Sanskrit Dena, those 5 treatises. Like such as the clear ornament of the clear realization, is one of the most extensive the teachings on the 5 paths and 10 grounds, and one of the very profound commentary of Hasutra, the ornament of clear realization, Monbod Yen, in fact, is very profound and very extensive, commentary on Hasutra. Hasutra got 2 aspects of teaching. One is the obvious aspect of teaching, which is on the emptiness explanation, and the Bedengondo is the hidden explanation of the Hasutra, is on the teaching on the 5 paths and 10 grounds. So the Mondo Yen, the ornament of clear realization, is one of the main commentary which composed by Maitreya, which passed down the lineage to Asanga. And even today, we have that teaching, and not only in the monastery communities, but even in the lay communities and the centers around, especially in the APMP centers, one of the subjects that we study. So it's and of course the theme of that teaching is again focusing on the true altruism, Buddhism and emptiness, and that is all about the essence of the entire Buddhist teaching. In particular with the Mahayanic teaching and the Tantric teaching. So therefore, this is very significant. And secondly, it is so significant because all the Lojong teachings that we are accessing, today. There are hundreds and hundreds of Lojong good texts and commentaries by the earlier Kadama masters, starting from the Lama Atisha, and also the later Kadama masters, Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 disciples, who composed the great treatise of Lamrim and different stages of Lamrim. And the entire Lamrim, the teaching from the Nyima Kagyu Sakya Gelug are based on this Lama Atisha's Lamb on the Path. So because of Lama Atisha, all the 4 traditions of Tibetan Buddhism obtain the unmistaken, complete path to the enlightenment. Nyima has a Kusha Syalung, and Kagyu has a Dabo Tagye, and Sakya has a Sakya Lamde, and Nyima has a Gelug has a Gelug Lamrim. So even though label is different name, and there's a slight different style of presentation, but then the root is based on like teaching like Lamb on the Path. An entire Lojong, Pache Puche, the Lojong treatise of Father and the Son, and the Lojong treatise of the earlier Kadama masters and the later Kadama masters are all dependent, based on the Lamb on the Path, like Lama Atisha. And Lama Atisha, able to bring such authentic teaching to Tibet, and authentic teaching in India, established in India, and authentic teaching that revealed all the way to the West. And all of us have access to Lojong and Lamrim teaching. Whatever tradition that you may following, that doesn't matter. Whatever level of practice you are practicing, that doesn't matter. But what matters is we have the absolute, genuine, correct ultimate lineage of the teaching, which is go all the way to Lama Atisha. And the Lama Atisha have the courage and have the privilege and have the merit, to bring such a benefit to the preservation of Mahayanic teaching into all these treatises, because of mainly kindness of his root guru, Lama Selingpa. He has 507 over gurus. He received so many varieties of teaching, sutra and tantra. But then, whenever he calls the name of Lama Selingpa, he has natural falls of tear and natural, the special devotion, and all this because of he has received the blessing and transmission and the guidance on the Bodhisattva, and the tradition and the lineage that he has received from Lama Selingpa was the 7-point cause and effect, the training of the Bodhicitta, and he received that in Indonesia, and he lived in Indonesia for 12 years under the request of Lama Selingpa, who is his guru. His first intention was come here and receive the transmission, and needed to travel to Nalanda and Vimalakshila. So he's supposed to travel there. That time he don't even have the intention to travel to Tibet. But then Lama Selingpa advised him that in not only receiving the transmission, but if you remain here, because it's such a special place and such a blessed, to this lineage, if you remain here and cultivate, you will have the opportunity to gain the realization in Bodhicitta. So then Lama Selingpa advised him to remain here for 12 years, and he did remain here for 12 years. And I'm sure he had traveled, many parts of, in Indonesia, like Sumatra, and he may came through Sumatra, and during that time, there's a established communities of Vajrayana practitioners in this area already, and of course he flourished even greater, and especially during the Dharma training, will of Dharma training by the Lama Selingpa in this region, flourished the Vajrayana extensively. In Mahayana extensively, and one of the evidence that you can see today, without very much relying on the history, then around this area you will see Madhatara temple. You will see many other eight Bodhisattvas temples, and most of all, then you see this Maitreya Buddhas and Maitreya and the Chandrasekhara and Vajrapani temple here. And this Maitreya statue, came here much more earlier than the Borobuddha Stupa. So that was told by archaeology, and I think also you can see in the history. So therefore, as I mentioned yesterday, these practitioners, they won't put a statue simply anywhere they like, or anywhere there's a space. It has to be very much significant of that particular land, that particular spot, and it has to be to do with the practice. So if that's the case, then also what you see in the historically, like the meeting of the two rivers, which is just next to here, and that's the place where Lama Atisha met Lama Selingpa, and where Lama Atisha remained for 12 years and meditated on Bodhicitta and gained the realization. So from varieties of logic and reasoning, and in particularly dependent on on the practice of bodhicitta, the purpose of Lama Atisha's travel here, I think this place could be one of the most significant. I mean, no one really, none of the Tibetan lamas or the Theravadan, the chief monks here, and including historians, including archaeologists, and no one really, spotting that one particular place. Is still searching. And based on last year's my attendance to the conference, and one of the speakers was the archaeologist, and very senior archaeologist, and who is a professor in university, and he publicly said that they still don't know exactly. They're still searching, and I was kind of accidentally, not accidentally, I think, kind of accidentally happened to be here, and no one is talking about this place, because even from the outwardly, you see the temple is a bit ruined, and it is just next to the main road travel to Borobudur, but usually, people ignore it. And even the tour guides, mostly don't bring people here because it's not so attractive, and also it's not that significant. So that's why. So that's why I think many lamas who came to find out this place, but then they are not introduced to this place. Maybe they miss this place. You see. So I don't know for others. For me, this is a very special place. And I think if you use the logical reasoning, I think you can find that this place is, I think, very significant for this practice. So, it could be a place where Lama Atisha has stayed for 12 years. It could be a place where Lama Tsilingpa himself have a direct vision of a Maitreya, and that's why the statue happened to be here. Lama Tsilingpa, the major deeds happen in Sumatra, and that's one other place, I don't know the name. This statue should be there, but why it has to happen here? Why it has to be here? And there are great establishment of temples, great establishment of the monuments, but then you cannot see like such a monument there. So so Mahayanis and the Vajrayana practitioners, I think this place can bring us great benefit to receive a blessing in our heart for the development of bodhicitta. One of the reasons why we go and visit holy places around the world, putting so much effort, physically, financially, and time. And one of the reasons of visiting holy places is to receive the blessing into our heart in relation to those Buddhas, deities, gurus, and the practices. So those who inspire to cultivate great compassion, those who inspire to wish to become Buddha, wish to actualize altruism, then I think this place is the right place for us to receive the blessing internally, through conviction, and the conviction that you establish through hearing the stories, hearing the what happened in the past. And one of the very strong, one of the stories that which bring strong impact into our heart is the story of Lama Atisha. Atisha Divankara, for 12 months of journey from central India, travel through Sumatra, on the ocean, through the ocean, to come here just for one single purpose, is to receive the blessing of bodhicitta. When it comes to a word, it's very little, very, very, very few words. the transmission of the transmission of the teaching on the bodhicitta in the 7 cause and effect is just few words, just maybe just seven words. But then to receive that blessing into our mental continuum, it requires immense of dedication. It requires immense of purification. It requires immense of merit. And by then, there's so much hardship, just to be here to receive that blessing. I think in our case, so easy we flew.